Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another edition of Sound Bites of Immigration Success. We bring this series to you so you can learn about your fellow consultants, hear their journey and some of their tips, and hopefully take that into your own immigration life as you move forward. My name is Monica O'Brien, and I look after all things education at CAPIC. But we're here today to listen to Olena Weber. Hi, Olena. How are you?
Hi, good. Monica, how are you?
I'm very well. Olena, tell us a little bit about yourself and what inspired you to enter the immigration profession.
Yes, sure. So I already mentioned to you behind the scenes, but I started my business when I was 23, and then just shortly after became licensed. And really what sparked me is not that I think different from many immigration consultants. It's just not being able, as an immigrant from Ukraine, not being able to have access to a good, high quality immigration advice myself when I was immigrating. And I know right now, a lot of our CACs and immigration lawyers are kind of freaking out about cutting down the levels, the government cutting down the levels of immigration. But back when I was immigrating in, 2012, 2013, that was even worse. And it was like literally no pathways at all. Like CEC was just shut, like it was just closed, like period. It was closed. Like you cannot like apply. Nobody can apply. So it was really, really hard. And that's a year when temporary foreign worker program was revamped. So I had like no avenues at all and nobody could help me. So because I didn't have really access to that one person that could tell me the answer to my question, I was like, okay, I will become that person. So eventually, as I figured out my own path, I was like, okay, I want to help people with high quality advice and not just to charge for consultation, but actually provide the answer to their question on how to immigrate to Canada. And now it's becoming even more valuable as it's getting harder and harder to apply for PR.
Yeah, so that's really interesting. I mean, other colleagues have said very similar stories in terms, they did their own journey themselves, and in the end, they were their own advisor and realized that
Yeah.
they take that experience. So, do you find your own journey that you had? Does that translate to you in having some sort of building relationship and trust with your clients because you're able to sort of relate to some of their struggles?
Yes, well, I think being empath means that you're very, very empathetic to all the people you talk to, and you essentially feel whatever the person on another side of a consultation feels, you feel it yourself, and it's really hard for immigration consultants like us that are like translating all the emotions. It's really hard on the side of like a burnout because you really feel all of those frustrations and not, immigration not being fair because it's not. But at the same time, it really makes you a very, very good consultant because you feel those things for your clients. You are really, truly figuring things out as it was for yourself, right? So that's why thankfully I was able to recognize that like really high quality of competence knowledge, but also just going above and beyond that I was providing, and that was translated into pricing as well, because I knew that the advice that I'm giving, the support that I'm giving is not the same as, like a free consultation, right? And I have my own opinion about free consultations.
Right.
But
And we'll get into that in a minute. But
yeah.
just before we came on air, you were telling me a little bit that you didn't enter this like you knew that you kind of wanted to help people and it was a possible option for a career. But you didn't start off as an immigration consultant. You were telling me you had a little bit of experience at Sheridan College, and you just were um, you decided to make some connections with them. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so it's I think again it's like pretty standard story because I immigrated to Canada as an international student. I went to Sheridan College, and then on like social media, people would just started reaching out to me because they would see that I went to Sheridan College. So they would start reaching out to me, like random just people from Ukraine, and saying that like, hey, I want to enroll in Sheridan College. Can you tell me how did you like apply? Which program did you finish? Did you like that program and all that kind of stuff? So I was like, okay, I might as well do this process for them, like of enrollment or picking the program. So I just walked into Sheridan College, and at that time I knew the international student advisor, and I was like, can I get a contract to bring you students? And those times were different, so they were like, sure. And we just signed the contract, and I had like it was only a couple of people that I helped to pick the program. And I still remember the first time I got a check for commissions from the college, just like literally for like picking a program for students and, uploading their documents and like getting the offer letter. And I got a check, and I think it was like $3,000 in mail. And I'm like, oh, this can work. And I'm like, but that doesn't make sense because they need to apply for study permit and it all interconnects. So I'm like, okay, I need to go get a license because I need to help them with the other part of study permits. So that's when I went for licensing.
Yeah, so it was a sort of full circle, because it is true. You'll do one sort of service for a client, and then if you can't do the other service,
Yeah.
um, as we go forward from there. But I will come back to the consultation. So you started your practice. At that point, you had a young child, and I know you work with your partner. You work with your husband. He's also an immigration consultant. So you've been in the profession now for, oh gosh, a decade. So it's not been easy. So can you tell us maybe what's been your biggest challenge, whether it's, the amount of work or the changes or whatever it might
Yeah.
be, and how are you managing that challenge?
Yeah, so the biggest challenge for me definitely was and still is a burnout. Because the reality, and maybe for some people it's different, but the way things work for a lot of immigration consultants is that it's as simple as this. There is a cycle of burnout that you cannot get out of. So basically, you go hard on marketing because you need cash flow, and this is the first stage. Stage number one, you go hard on marketing, you need cash flow, you trying to get cases, right? So you do whatever it takes to reaching out to colleagues or doing seminars or posting on social media, whatever works for you to get cases. You get the cases and you have that cash flow. Now you need to process those cases, right? So you go dive deep into processing, into serving your clients and serving, high quality. And you're doing that. While you're doing that, your marketing is empty, so you don't generate new sales, right? Because you're so busy with case processing that you don't have time for marketing, right? Because you need to fill out application forms. So then you understand that your bank account goes down, 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 and you're busy with processing. And then once you submit those cases or you start panicking about cash flow, then you're like, okay, I need new cases. So you go in a new cycle of marketing. And it's like a never-ending cycle of like shifting between delivery and case processing, like delivery, like meaning case processing and marketing. So you go hard and eventually you just burn yourself out because you feel like you can never get out of that cycle of like constantly being either on a front end of your business and like really trying to get sales essentially, and being on the back end of the business because nobody but you as an immigration consultant can push the button submit, right? Nobody but you can provide consultation. Like you cannot outsource
Yeah,
that, right?
yeah,
So that burnout, and I really think it's super specific to our profession because other businesses, you cannot source everything. Like you cannot source so many things. In our business, there are specific parts that you can really not delegate. You cannot delegate, like you can have a legal assistant, but by the end of the day, you're signing off on the case. It's your license and you need to submit the case. You need to review before you're submitting. Now, if you have 10 cases a week, like guess what's going to happen, right? So for me, like that was the biggest challenge, and it's a work in progress always. But I think the biggest part, like how I resolved that, like in immigration kind of processing and immigration firm part of my business, how I resolved that is number one, understanding that you don't need as many clients as possible. That's not the goal of your business. Your goal is not to have as many clients as possible. The goal is actually to have as little clients as possible, but that would be willing to pay a top rate for the depth of the services and the competency and the experience and the depth of the service that you're going to provide. So I don't need 300 clients a year. All I need is 50 clients, but those that I will serve really, really well, because guess what? I have time to do that. But they would need to pay a bit of a, like a fair rate. I'm going to say premium rate, but fair rate, right? Like not $50 for postgraduate work permit.
Yeah, no, I hear you. And it's like it's a concierge service to really do that deep dive with your clients. But you touched on something there in terms of your burnout. And I sort of hear you with regard to that challenge, managing it all, managing your business and your sales and your life in between to get it all done. But you talked about it's difficult to outsource everything. And one of the things that's difficult to outsource is the knowledge that we have inside our head. That's what the value is for our clients. I mean, you can surround yourself with great people, but at the end of the day, if you're specializing in complex inadmissibility cases, you're going to be the one that's dealing with that.
Yep.
So, yeah. So for you, you said it's a work in progress, and I guess you were just saying as we came on, January is so busy, and you look at the year ahead, and it's sort of overwhelming. So what do you do? Do you just sort of put one foot in front of each other, or you try to just mindfully plan, and you give yourself, do you block out time for you and your family? Like how do you sort of get through that burnout stage?
Yes. So basically, there are three main tactics that I use, and like there are like actual strategies. So number one is when it comes to your calendar, like actual calendar, is that first thing that you have to do is block off your non-negotiable time that you are non-negotiably not working. So especially if you're a woman with young kids, that is a top priority for you because that's the season of your life. You have young kids, you need that time, and blocking off weekends, like for me, I actually love working Saturday mornings. Like I love it. So for me, it's like Saturday after 12 and the whole Sunday I don't work. Anytime after 5 p.m. I don't work. It's just non-negotiable. Doesn't matter if anybody dies. Like I don't work those days. So that's like calendar management. Now, in terms of calendar management, it's really, really good to come up with themed days. So for example, themes that I don't know, Monday is the theme is actually organizing and like cleaning up everything, like clean up, organizing your practice. Then, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, that's your consultations and case processing. Then Friday can be your marketing day, your day when you create your content, right? Like for everybody is different, but themed days. That's good. And then in terms of tasks, because what I had like literally this week is that I had so many things on my list to do. And it's just like a list, right? And I feel like I'm just on this sprint of like ticking off as many marks as possible. But the reality is that not every task is of equal value to you and to your business. So when I look at my tasks, and it can be like literally a list of 50, what I ask myself is two questions. Number one, what are the true needle moving tasks in my business? Like what moves the needle, like truly? Usually it has to do with sales, like, marketing, right? Because every business needs that. Or needle moving in terms of, for example, like if I feel burnout on a processing side, I'm like, okay, like we actually need a meeting. I don't care how busy we are. We need a meeting when we're going to go through SOPs and everybody will be on the same page what the processing schedule is. So needle moving task. And another thing, what I did literally yesterday, because I felt so overwhelmed, is that I'm like, okay, there's so much stuff. What are the like 1, 2, 3 things that feel so heavy to me? And they feel like they're dragging me down. And I just sat down and I'm like, what would be the 3 things that really feel heavy, like I have dreams about? And I wrote a list. It came up like as a 4 things. One of them was like just sending one email. Didn't take much time, but I had a dream about that email because I knew I was supposed to send it on Monday, but it's already Thursday. And I'm like, I feel so heavy about it. Then number 2, the task that takes 5 seconds, paying taxes. but it feels so heavy to me because of like, there are deeper reasons to that, like psychological, but like, okay, I'm gonna like, just like right now, like log in and just like pay the taxes, right? Because, and then it's like, it's off your chest, right? So those are like a couple of strategies to, manage the overwhelm on a daily basis.
Yeah, I like that. And I hear you on paying the taxes. Um, so so I wanted to go back. One of the things you talked about in your opening was the high value that we provide to our clients, and that it's a choice by us in terms
Yep.
of how we're going to manage that value. Are we going to work on volume and help DIY clients? Are we going to do a concierge service? Are we going to do somewhere in between? But you talked a little bit about you have an opinion on free consultations. So tell me your opinion on those, if you want.
Um, yes, so I really don't think, especially this day and age and like just this season of our immigration policies, I don't think providing free consultations, that's really good for you, or most importantly, for the client. It's not good for the client because guess what? You want it or not, when you have a free call, you you're not going to provide the same level of service if is this call is like $200, let's just say, right? Or $100, doesn't matter the amount. Is that you want it or not, but you as a professional, you feel a lot of consciously or subconsciously pressure, responsibility when this call is paid. So you're going to provide a better service to the client when it's paid. And then another reason is like just very pragmatic reason from business point of view, right? Is that the reality is that if a person books a free call, they looking for free services, right? And then what's the really possibility of that person paying for services? And of course, like a retainer agreement. And of course, there will be some people that would go for a retainer agreement, but that conversion rate would not be as high as paid consultations. I actually did an experiment, just super quickly going to say that I did an experiment, is that I posted on my Instagram that it was like some time ago, but that free 20-minute consultation for everybody who has like, let's say 500 points in express entry pool, right? I had like so many consultations booked that it was crazy. I forget, I think it was like 10, maybe 12, like a lot. So in a very short period of time. How many retainer agreements I got from that? Zero. I got zero retainer agreements from that. Now another, and it was like a matter of experiment because, I work with a lot of RCACs. I need to know how things work. So now second thing, what I did, I posted just last week on Instagram, just a story, is that only for 1 hour, there is this promo code. 1 hour is the name of the promo code that you can enter in a consultation booking page, and you'll get like a huge discount. It was like 50% discount, so it was a huge discount. And I posted this story on Instagram only for 1 hour. After 1 hour, I deleted this story. We had 5 consultations booked in just 1 hour. Out of 5 consultations, they were 50% discount, but they were paid. Out of 5 consultations, we got 2 retainer agreements.
So it's
So
a
that's
clever way
just
of
how it
marketing.
works.
Yeah. Olena, one of the things I wanted to tell you was how much I've really admired you've sort of come into the immigration space. I mean, you've been around for a while, but we're all getting to know each other. And I come from more the probably the old school, the old ways of doing things.
Yes.
Of course, back in the day, it was you would advertise in the paper, write in the community ethnic paper, and get your name out
Sorry,
there.
I'm gonna interrupt you, but like I have an RCC that I work with that also, she is true believer in traditional advertisements. She, as of right now, she advertises in a newspaper. She has her car with like stickers of immigration. She does all the old school stuff, and it works. It works not because it's old school or it's a new way. It's not because of that. It's because she is aligned with that. She believes in that, and it works like for her, because if it makes sense to you, it's going to work. So it's not about
Yeah,
old school.
it's
Yeah.
not wrong, it's not bad. But what I wanted to say was that, like you're not afraid to, do something a little bit differently, something that's outside of the box, something that's
Yeah.
non-traditional, something like a form of advertising or a form of promotion that's not common to the immigration industry. Like you offered your promo code. You're not seeing a lot of people do that. That's something that you would see more in a different type of marketing, right? Like if you're going to buy tickets for a concert, enter this
Yeah.
promo code. But it's a creative way of attracting customers. And I think as we have to sometimes think outside of the box and be innovative and be different if you want to rise
Well, you
above.
gotta make it fun, like it's because it's fun, it's fun for me to post a story just for 1 hour, after 1 hour delete it, and just seeing 1 hour consultations rolling in. Like you get kind of like that, rush about it. And, it brings a little bit of fun to your business.
Yeah, and you know what, at the end of the day, and if something doesn't work, you've tried it, right? We were just
Yeah.
saying prior to coming on air that sometimes you got to fail to learn those lessons. So I guess my last question to you is you've been around for 10 years and I know you've sort of pivoted and you're doing a lot of coaching and advising now. But what advice would you have to a younger Olena starting out?
So my biggest advice is that, and I know probably people who listen to this, they're already doing it, but my biggest advice is to actually get involved with communities of RCACs and immigration lawyers, and just interact with each other and be in the communities like CAPIC, because trust me, I've spent a lot of time trying to figure out things or invent things that already been figured out and already been invented by other professionals. I just needed to be a part of those communities. And I don't know, for whatever reason, I think I was so like inside my business that I never like lift my head up, and I was never part of like any communities like CAPIC. And I'm ashamed to say this, but I only became CAPIC member about a year or a year and a half ago. And when I started attending events, I was like, whoa, this whole world exists. And I've been really missing out so much on this, because it's truly a shortcut. Like conversations that I had during NCAC was like literally a business coaching, because I've got to meet immigration consultants that and hear what they're doing in their business that works, what they're doing in their business that doesn't work, like build those connections. And just being in those communities really puts you ahead of everyone else, because you're just not alone banging against the wall and not knowing what works, what doesn't work. There are people who already figured it out, and being inside those communities, like again, like CAPIC, really gives you a shortcut to success really in your business and in your competency.
So do you you said so for 7 or 8 years or 9 years, you were just kind of operating within this little small sphere. So your advice to your younger self was it'd be to get out sooner, make those connections, build those relationships.
Yes, I don't know why I never did it, but I never got out and like and communicated with other RCACs. Like I mean, I know RCACs, especially Ukrainian ones, but I never really communicated in a bigger space like NCAC, for example, or
Yeah,
and
yeah,
yeah, that's my biggest advice to everyone, because it's really so valuable.
right. I agree with you. The immigration profession could be a lonely one. And even when you work with your spouse, but you work with your spouse, you live with your spouse, sometimes you want to talk to other people, right?
Honestly, that's like, yeah, it's hard. And also because so many of us work from home, we're so deep into our files and into our business, into, so to speak, rat race, that we just don't even see different perspective. And when you attend those events, or even like virtual events, right, like collaborative spaces with other immigration consultants, it's just widens your vision and gives you more perspective. And yeah, that's definitely my biggest advice. I think I would have been much further, or I would have reached my goals much faster if I was in these kind of communities and participating in these events from day one of my practice.
Yeah, yeah, good advice. Well, you've given us a lot to think about today. You've given some great advice about burnout, about managing your time, about thinking really what your goals are, about taking those risks, uh, building those connections and communities, and uh, just making that leap, because really at the end of the day, it is making that leap.
Yeah,
Olena, thank you for your time today. I really appreciate
thank you.
um, your contribution in all that you do in all facets of the profession. I'm going to give you the opportunity for any final words that you might have.
Just want to say to everyone to be kind to yourself, to prioritize your competency level, because the faster you, especially if you are fairly new RCAC, I really think that should be your priority, because the faster you nail the competency part, the faster your business is going to advance. And then just, yeah, be kind to yourself. I work with so many RCACs with imposter syndrome. And it's a really, it's a really big deal and it's stopping you. So yeah, if anything, you can always just message me, reach out to me, find me on LinkedIn, and like we'll just like literally talk, because sometimes that's all we need. We need to talk to structure our thinking and just talk. Thank you
Yeah.
so much, Monica, for having
Oh,
me.
it's been my pleasure. And we look forward to seeing you in Lake Louise. Thank you to our audience. It's been a pleasure to have you with us, and we'll see you at the next one.